It's been a fantastic week, as we said so far, and today also near all-time highs. What's the sense you have today, and are we going to see this continue? That's the question that everybody would want to know.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's watching out for 24,000. Whether it happens tomorrow or no, because it's an expiry day, remains to be seen. But yeah, the momentum is very strong, Nupur. And banks are leading the charge. The heaviest sector now participating. It's almost a mirror image of what the Nifty is doing, because banks are taking the markets higher, which is a great thing, because you need banks to participate. There's only as much that the Nifty can do without the banks doing well. But today was interesting in that while autos did not and metals did not participate, which is fine. They've been sulking for a while. Telecom participated as well, and therefore you had the behemoth Reliance participating, up 4%. You had Bharti Airtel participating, and the mid-sized names as well. Vodafone Idea, Indus Tower. Now, is there a price hike happening? Well, customers are disappointed, I'm sure, but the stocks are very excited. So Telecom did really well. Banks continued to do well, and that's the drift. The other small aspect is that the last 2 or 3 sessions, we've seen mid caps and small caps not participating. So in today's session as well, while we hit new highs and we can rejoice, but portfolios may not be really happy, because the mid cap index and the small cap index were very flat to marginally in the red.
All right, so let's talk a bit about Mazgon. Now, it's hit a 52-week high. It's got the Navratan status. So obviously, you know, everybody's wanting to know what's happening there.
Yeah, so I mean, again, maybe a part of the defense trail today, because a clutch of these defense names did so well. But in Mazgon Doc's case, Navratna is a good thing. I mean, sure, for a day it could have a rally and all, but for most of these names, including Mazgon, the order book, Nupur, is just so strong that while people argue, and rightly so, that the valuation of some of these stocks have really shot up in trade, the fact remains that there is order book visibility and therefore earnings visibility. And as long as there is earnings visibility, corrections will be bought into. So which is why I think a part of why these stocks do so well is people do not want to sell them, and people believe that even if they have fallen, they will get bought into, because traditionally for the last 12 to 18 months, these guys have gotten bought into. So both in the case of Mazgon Doc as well as some of the other defense names, you see almost all of them today sparkling in trade. 7-8% was the order of the day. Look at Garden Reach Shipbuilders, about 8% as well. So pretty strong showing by defense names in general, and Mazgon too in particular.
Absolutely, perhaps, you know, some bit push coming in from the government's planned expenditure as well. Vedanta, what's happening over there? It's been a huge block deal. It's of course down today, but what's your sense of it?
Yeah, so on expected lines, because this was being spoken about for a while, that the promoter needs to deleverage. They will go ahead and do it. The promoter has cited at various instances that their shareholding remains comfortable enough for them to do a block, and a large one at that, and not be perturbed. So 2.5% or thereabouts, for example, is the kind of block that has happened. Now, the point is that today Vedanta was not the only one which fell. Brokerages are coming out and saying that metals might have a slightly rough time because of 2 reasons. One, the China recovery, which was being spoken about, has not been even and has not been steady. So that's part one. And 2, you look at Hindalco, Tata Steel, etc. All of them are down today, because I think spreads overall across the world are coming under pressure. Iron ore prices relative to export parity are way higher, and therefore those prices might also correct, which is why Citi had a negative catalyst watch on an MDC today. Incred came out and said, go and sell Tata Steel and some of the others. So there is a bit of bearishness, if you will, on the prospects of the metal stocks today. On such a day, when you have such a large block deal happening, suffice to say the stock will probably stay lower.
You know, I know we touched upon banking stocks in the beginning, but I'd like to go back to ICICI now. What's your view on that? Of course, it's up nearly 1.9% today, so those numbers looking very good. It reached a record market cap yesterday, so all of that essentially rallying it up? Yeah,
so a couple of things. I mean, one, if you look at the growth guidance that ICICI Bank has, or not really a formal guidance, but the growth prospects that people expect out of ICICI Bank, and the fact that the last few years the performance has been impeccable, right? It was always second fiddle to HDFC and Kotak. From there, it's now come at the top tier in terms of banking stocks as well and being preferred. Jefferies had a note today, and they said that their favorite name is ICICI Bank. It remained the top pick. The target price was 1350 versus 1211 currently as well. So it's putting all the right moves in place, and if indeed the impending capex cycle comes to the fore, then some of these private banks as well will probably see loan growth which will be better than what has happened in the recent past. And with ICICI Bank's recent track record of growth happening while maintaining pristine asset quality and improving return ratios, there's little surprise that the street likes ICICI Bank. I think the poster boy of the last few days' move has been HDFC Bank, being much spoken about because it was beaten so badly. But don't forget ICICI Bank. I think it's done just so well that it deserves a mention for sure.
All right. Thank you very much, Niraj, for joining us and bringing us all of that comprehensively together. Thank you very much.